Okay, so we'll jump into the session here. So we have the pleasure, I guess, in this role to really step back and observe some very amazing kind of innovation in this space. We say that this is our kind of innovation session, but really it's a demonstration of all the people in this room, all the people across the globe that we have the pleasure to work with, and an opportunity to share some of that innovation, which is really special. In terms, and I guess saying that the innovation isn't coming from a particular region. We're seeing this globally in terms of our clientele from Australia. We've got a lot of us over here, as you're probably gathering with all the accents, to now the North American region that a few of us are set up in. We've had the pleasure, Tom and myself, in working in these different regions and really understanding the cultural differences and where the science is at, and the challenges in those regions as well. And that's given us a really nice perspective of what we can bring to our clientele in that space. So thank you for that. In terms of this session and what we're looking to probably explore and demonstrate, we've had a big 12 months. I think everyone probably knows that in terms of how the system scaled, all the way from the design, the look, the feels, but also the features. It really has been an exciting 12 months for us. In terms of our frameworks and what we try to achieve within the platform, we have a very open philosophy, an open framework in terms of connecting whatever you need to really innovate in this space. So we're really excited to show off some of those connections and some of those additional tools that we see groups leveraging. For today's kind of session, we're going to jump into the use of, say, higher level analytics through our R package and show some really exciting developments in that space. And I think for those in the science communities, those in the statistics communities, are really going to find this a useful tool. In addition to that, we've developed this analytics connector. We are starting to deal with some very big data. I think Dan and I were discussing before I came into this session, there are some huge data sets out there now, and there's opportunities that come with that. Hence, we built this connector. We've had an exciting time with our app development. We're the first to admit that the old run's getting pretty prehistoric, so we're pretty excited in terms of the user experience and really helping you engage with your athletes, your operators, and making that a really beautiful experience for them across their journey. In terms of engagement pieces, again, we've developed these kiosk workflows, which we see every organisation use in some capacity, and we're really excited to show you the developments there. Electronic medical records has been another focus for us in this last 12 months, and again, we'll give you a quick introduction there. We're also exploring some other areas around calendar, scheduling, and scouting as well. So we'd like to introduce again what we've got in that space. So to kick things off, for those that are aware of the different kind of statistical programs that we have available to us, R is one of those fantastic open source statistical programs that you can leverage for free pretty much, and I highly encourage those in the analytics space to dive into it. Over the last 12 months, we've obviously seen these large abundance of data coming through, and there are opportunities that come with that. There are opportunities to run these advanced models. I've spoken to it probably in the session in the workshop. We're not necessarily at the stage that we can do the predictive analytics that we really want to push, or I think in terms of the practicality of some of these, we're probably not there yet, but we do have the ability to explore that. We do have the ability to look at high-risk scenarios, to do some of the additional modelling, and that's what this R package allows us to do. So a really exciting piece for us. So what does it look like, and what can this offer for your organisation? So if you do have, say, front office staff, if you do have people that do dabble with R and obviously are native to that environment, we now have the ability, and we've built an R package essentially that you can download to automatically pull data down from Smartabase, so out of your SQL environment, run your model or aggregation, whatever you're looking to explore in that perspective, and then push the data back into Smartabase as well. So when we want to, say, leverage the beautiful kind of dashboard tools that we've developed over the last 12 months, you can then pull this information out, run those advanced models, which are yours, and that's important. We're not saying that we have to run the model and we're going to tell you how to do it. This gives you the freedom to really do what you want with your data and explore it in a complex sense. So we can pull that down and then push that back into Smartabase to visualize. In terms of case studies, really excited to show one today in terms of where I came from and my kind of upbringing. So very fortunate that the West Coast Eagles, an Australian football team back home that I spent 6 years and kind of went through my mentorship with, are really exploring this space. One thing to allude to before I kind of jump into the advanced things that they're looking into, this organisation does the basics very, very well. And this has only come after 9-10 years of data collection and really consistent processes and systems that have allowed them to explore this higher level analytics. So I think it's really important in terms of your plans and your innovation in this space to ensure that you've got the basics down packed first, that you are dealing then with quality data and with enough consistent data to really start to explore that. So in this example here, the PhD student that is rolling this and a bit of an extension of my own work originally is taking this R script, bringing all their historical data down, and like I said, they have now 9 to 10 years worth of data. They can pull that via this R script. They're pulling from 17 different forms. So this is starting to deal with a fairly sizable data set. With R as well, you have the ability to merge data sets and really start to get that holistic picture. We can obviously do that in the platform as well, but they're wanting to pull from every source within the system. For this, they're then running some really interesting and insightful kind of analytics to look at two main areas and two areas we're all interested in. Injury risk assessment, and probably the key there is we're not looking at injury risk prediction. We're trying to define a high risk scenario. Really cool examples of how they look at that, comparing to their average injury risk. Is that individual above or below compared to their norms? And they start to get some insightful questions from the coaching staff off the back of these assessments. They're also exploring through this automated process some game performance predictions, again, bringing in all this contextual info that they've gathered over the last 10 years to provide a really kind of insightful projection of what that game performance is going to look like. And again, provides questions to the coaches or answers to the coaches around strategy and what they need to, inform. They then push this information back into the platform, so we do have that one-stop shop. We do have that visualization that references the basics, but also gives you those additional insights that you can then take to support your decisions. It's not a process of telling you this is what's going to happen. It's a decision support kind of workflow. So a really cool example of what we're exploring in that space. Just to give you a quick kind of preview of what that looks like and how this can work. So those familiar with the R window, we can obviously pull all this information down. You can see you can pull from a number of different data sets, download that data, start your query in terms of the models that you want to explore, preview that you've brought everything in that you're interested in. And the real value here in one script, you can push back those probabilities, those estimates, to then explore that within the platform, overlaid with all that basic information as well. So a really exciting kind of example here where we can push that back in and automate that process. Again, to reiterate, the beauty of this product in some respect is that these are your models. These are things you can develop on the fly. These are tools that you can be really kind of dynamic with and fluid with and implement and explore. So a very interesting example in that respect, and we can see it pushes back through. And to Tom.
Thank you. So just to, further on, or move further with the analytics space and discussing what we're doing with some of these is the data warehouse. Sue spoke about it yesterday. It's the sort of highly functional tool or practical tool that allows you to connect this up to a normal SQL environment. You can sort of work with it in how you sort of, obviously that back end of Smartabase That's our IP, and that's where the real flexibility and strength comes from. But this allows you to turn it back into a normal SQL environment. What we can do with that is look at where that, certainly who that's ideal for and how we can connect onto that. So it's with those organisations with those extremely large data sets that they want to start to do more with. So taking it outside of the Smartabase environment to connect it up to the different BI tools that you have available to yourselves. So we can also move into the advanced modelling, again, just sort of taking it out of that, putting it into that structured SQL environment, so you're not taking down the Smartabase server and those type of things, because you're working with a lot of processing and a lot of data. So trying to separate the two and make sure you can take it out of that environment. We see what the Analytics Connector does. It automatically connects that up and automatically updates these processes as well. So if you can think about it, the data sort of dumping into a spreadsheet, it's automatically updating. If you add a column in Smartabase, you add a feature in Smartabase, it adds that on. Simple and easy, and automatically connects that new data source. Likewise with our calculations, our resaving function to be able to do those. If you do have those new ones in there, you hit that, again, it will push through to that environment. Here's an example of sort of how it works, and we do have a number of live clients with this now, and I think it would be good to get you to connect with them. They've obviously got that experience now, and they might have that front office system that a lot of their coaching staff are in, they're scouting, those type of things. We see it a lot in the MLB environments, that they've gone ahead and built these really coach-driven front office systems. But how do we get the data from Smartabase across there in a usable format? So here's an example of that. Again, goes through the security functions and comes into that data warehouse environment that you can then overlay your other data sets with, your marketing data sets, your ticket sales, all those different environments or that data that's coming into the organisation. You can start to overlay that really easily. So injury versus ticket sales. Maybe not of real interest to some people in this room, but I bet, some people in the front office and the analytical departments are certainly interested in some of those features. So just think about that and where you can sort of take this. You'll see this is just an example of the different BI tools that you can then connect that up to. It's whatever you've got access to. It's whatever environments you work with and have that experience in. So we're seeing some really cool things that are coming out of this now, and whilst we can't really show you that demo, I do sort of implore that to reach out to any of the Fusion staff and we can look to connect that up. Again, it is sort of that next level with the software and that data push, but we certainly want to make sure we keep moving this. This is just one example of a Power BI dashboard, but again, it's just being able to sort of display and run whatever modelling you want.
Great, thanks, Tom. So another kind of development that we've had over the last kind of 6 months now is the new Athlete app. A lot of you have been exposed to this. It really is a massive step forward for us in terms of the engagement piece, the visualization, the design. We spoke kind of in the workshops, we need to start thinking like designers now. We need to start thinking, how do we sell our programs to our athletes, to our operators, and how can we really engage them? So this has been an extremely exciting project for us and something that we've thoroughly enjoyed the feedback on. Very excited to kind of show what those developments look like. I'll quickly plug in. Fantastic. So one of the greatest features that I absolutely love with the new Athlete app is that access, something that you'll find with all of your athletes, your operators. We're trying to make this process of collecting information, of informing them on the program as easy as possible. So we've got the Touch ID enabled there, Face ID, and that makes it a really seamless and modern way of interacting with this this tool essentially. In terms of the usability and even the UI throughout, we've got a new suite of kind of question fields that are styled now in a really modern way. Those that have seen our old athlete app would know that this is a significant kind of improvement, and you'll find that in terms of the style and the engagement with your athletes and your operators, it does really kind of drive that engagement, which is exciting. In terms of the closing the feedback loop, and something we've spoken to a lot in this summit already, is how do we offer something really visual, something really informative off all of this information that we're collecting. So examples here of dashboards that are optimized for these mobile environments that are really kind of insightful in terms of where does the athlete currently sit and how can I close that loop. I'm asking so much of my athlete or my operator. How can I look at automating some of these insights and providing some feedback? Some great examples here, and again, ties in with some of the work that Josh has presented earlier today. How do we automate a really kind of insightful feedback loop for our athletes or operators? Examples here running off Z-scores or off that individual criterion. I can start to encourage my athletes to log into this environment knowing they get something out of it. So yeah, just a quick preview there. Something that we'll kind of allude to and come back to as well in terms of the scheduling piece, and scheduling and communication is such a critical element across all organisations, and something we're looking to develop heavily over the next 6 months. You can see we're already taking some really good strides in terms of a visual environment that has the ability to click through and see events, see comments, go through and obviously have a really fluid and one-stop shop for the athletes and operators, which is exciting. Great, so again, just a quick preview on what's possible in that athlete app environment. If you are a current client and you're unaware of this one, please do follow up with your consultant. And as I said, it's a rapidly improving framework that we're looking to roll out to everyone now. The last one, just to note with the athlete app and something that we do find in that organisational structure, you do have the ability to custom style that. So making that your colour themes, making that your own app on the App Store as well, and really personalise it for your organisation. This is something that we do offer as well, which if of interest for your organisation, yeah, please follow up. And it just brings that kind of unique, I guess, theme and colour scheme to your application, and something that we do recommend exploring. So please keep that in mind as well.
Okay, so I'll take over here. The next one we're going to talk about is the kiosks. Josh shared some of the kiosk workflows at West Virginia, and we've seen that has been rapidly adopted here in the US just for that mass data collection. So how do you get the 120 athletes to come through and weigh in and collect all that data without having 5 strength coaches in the room with them? So we've seen some really good examples. We've seen it go up on touchscreen TVs in the office or like in the weight rooms to engage with the athletes, and sort of seeing this as a really focus for the data collection for those athletes. So we're just going to go through a couple of examples and share through some sort of basic case studies that we are finding is being rapidly adopted and getting good engagement with the athletes. So this one's just a readiness example. You'll see the little soccer balls there, so something to interact with, your sport, and the athletes. Again, it's just something different. It's not the same questionnaire, or like it's not the same slider scale. It's just something to interact with them. I think it's pretty cool, and hopefully get them engaged a little bit more compared to certainly some of the other environments. One of the other big areas, and I think Josh again alluded to it, was that recovery. How are we capturing that information? How are we monitoring and tracking that information? And this is just one of the examples in terms of that. I think Josh or some of the people in the room have these set up at all their sort of recovery stations. But again, just make it easy on your athlete to get that data in as they're going through into this environment. The next one is the sort of way in, way out. So your hydration, we see that's certainly key here, and making sure we sort of see that feedback immediately go through to the athlete as well. So in this example, the athlete's weighed in the morning, they come in, they update their weight, and they can get your feedback and your formulas or what you want that to basically go back to the athlete. And again, just seeing that real immediate uptake or immediate feedback for the athlete to make a difference or for them to go and change their behaviour. You can also, in this feature as well, so this is just a customised example, a different example of those slider scales, but in here you can also have the dashboarding environment. So we get a lot of questions of how do I know who's done the wellness, or how do I know who's done the RPE in an example, and you could be walking around with this iPad on the screen. It's a quick engagement dashboard or a quick sort of look at your compliance, and you can see who hasn't filled that out. So again, all in that one app environment that you're able to create yourself, you're able to rapidly change, and is certainly easy for the athletes to utilise. I was thinking about just building Hannah's spreadsheet or like the piece of paper, but the Wi-Fi is not too good in here at the moment, so we didn't want to go with that. But that's an example of that, where we could have the iPad out at one of those training facilities, remote training facilities, and then that pen and paper is certainly eliminated. The next area that we're going to sort of discuss and highlight is the electronic medical record system. This is certainly a big feature within the software and is the first thing we do at any international organisation is their injury management. In the US, I think sort of 2 years ago, we thought this was taboo and wouldn't certainly encroach on this territory, but we're realising that the electronic medical record systems that are out there are built for hospitals. They're not built for sport, they're not built for our environments. And so that's something that, we've certainly been exploring a lot with a number of clients. The US Ski and Snowboard Association obviously provided that case study 2 days ago and are really willing to share what they're doing with that. Likewise, you'll see the number of organisations up there that have that complete EMR system in Smartabase, along with a lot of our other clients who are doing injury management, but having the everything sort of integrated into one platform. The University of Texas is another example. They were probably the first one to come on and have that complete system in the US. So again, they're really willing to reach out and showcase what they're doing. And they've got a really large environment where their doctors are on board, their psychologists, everyone's integrated into that one platform. What are the limitations we see with those, the hospital or clinic EMRs? I guess their primary focus is that is compliance and billing. Again, sort of just even the coding system that they're using is not built for sport, is not able to be used for data or really sort of the surveillance reporting that a lot of our clients are trying to do. They treat each injury as an isolated incident. It's all about reactive treatment, and it's not about the preventative side. So that's certainly with Smartabase. Obviously, you're able to customise it. You're able to build it in the way that you want. Again, not built really for the tracking time loss, but even just the reporting side of things and the data visualisation, we see that as nearly non-existent. So that's something, hopefully you've seen that in the last few days about how easy it is to build those things and give something back. Again, we're asking this all from our athletes and talking about closing that feedback loop. We saw it with AFRL yesterday. Let's give something back to the practitioners. Let's give them their data that they're actually putting in, so it's not just an entry system. There's no sport-specific information. Again, we saw that with skis example. They had a lot of ski types and a lot of information on their sport-specific. and so we're just trying to capture that information as well. And then I guess the integration of sports technologies, again, is just something that's not really primary to that environment, where it is certainly one of our main focuses. The integrations, so we do have a number of integrations and a lot of North American integrations as well. We're keen for your expertise. I'm certainly not an expert in this environment, so I've talking with Kyle Wilkins from the ski and really getting the understanding of what the doctors want. We think we know quite well what our athletic trainers and physiotherapists and PTs are looking for in this environment, but one thing we want to make sure is that the doctors are certainly key to this piece. A couple of those things is an example like the Sure scripts, so the ability to e-prescribe from the platform within Smartabase and send that anywhere to any pharmacy in the North American region. So again, sort of trying to streamline the processes that are in here. You'll see a number of other ones, again, league-wide sort of EMRs as well. We want to connect with those. They're in your professional environment. There may be those league-wide EMRs that are enforced and need to be utilised across that. That's fine. We want to connect with those as well. So please reach out, and that's going to be driven by your staff.
So the other, really exciting piece for us at the moment is around calendar, functions, scheduling, and ultimately communication. Something we've identified as a real need across all organisations, and naturally we all see that, and something exploratory that we're looking at in this environment at the moment. So you may have seen our calendar function or our module essentially that we do have in the platform. But we're really looking to push the bar and push the configuration to another level. So examples we have here of what those calendars are starting to look like is a really exciting piece for us. So we can now have breakdowns through the dashboard builder, which is an extremely kind of flexible tool to then build this out to your specific needs and the specific information that you want to show. The great thing about that is we can start to overlay other information from, say, the schedule if there's load information coming in for that day, and we can start to display that throughout this info or this layout, for example. What we've got here is a month view that we're exploring at the moment, and a breakdown of all the events occurring on those days, which is fantastic. If we head up or click through, we also have the ability to see further granular information, and building this through the dashboard tools makes that extremely flexible in that respect. We can break this down by months, weeks. We have a legend here, as we can see at the top, to really bring value to all the data that we're kind of logging throughout the platform. So just again, a quick example and exploratory look at what we're going forward with in terms of some of our scheduling and calendar functions. As I was alluding to here, we've got the ability to overlay other information from availability that may be captured within the platform, and quickly say click through and see who's available on that day. So again, a holistic spot for bringing that information together. If we go through to the other views, and again, we previewed some of this on the mobile in terms of what this can look like for your athletes, a really kind of slick breakdown of the schedule throughout the day with that clickability that we've been demonstrating throughout this summit as well, which is very exciting for us. And then finally, when we start looking at grouping structures and staggering groups, another area that we're exploring for those multi-tiered teams or those that do work in groups in terms of their structures, we've got a breakdown here by Group A, B, C, which again is a really nice visual to put up on the big screens, and we have been exploring that. The other exciting piece, and kind of just to round up this innovation session before we can field any of the questions, is around the scouting element of the platform. So We've identified this, and we've been really fortunate through some of our recent clientele. The NBA Academy, for example, are heavily invested on their scouting workflows, looking at talent identification across their academies, looking at player development, and really having a central spot for all of their staffing at the 7 academies across the world, and bringing that to a central place for reporting. In terms of tiers and levels of reporting, it can be very granular for the scouts, as we're seeing with some examples here, or we have that executive kind of reporting where you can see some really kind of overview information that we'd want to push through. So again, we'll just give you a quick example within the platform of how that's developing, and a space that we're very keen for feedback on as well. We understand there's a number of scouting platforms out there, but we really see the value of bringing this all into one spot and having a really kind of interesting look at an individual's profile. The example we have here is just a basic scouting overview from the subjective ratings of the scouts, so whether they should sign them, monitor them, discard, if we want to be that brutal, and then we can obviously click through and see all that information, which is great. A breakdown of, say, the reporting here and the potential player value or cost of that individual is something that we're definitely exploring with a number of groups, coming up with their custom and often that scouting workflow or that approach to player assessment can be very specific to the organisation, and this is just an example of some of those aggregates from the questionnaires that groups are looking to ask across different physical elements, essentially. We can then break that down by a player view for that granularity that we might be looking for. And again, this is just a really slick visual of how they've developed potentially over time, their most recent, their best, their personal best, through these radar charts and again, areas that we're exploring in this scouting field. If we flick through, we've obviously got sport-specific details, looking at strengths, weaknesses, again, some really nice granular information that provides the scouts with a central spot. This information regarding, say, statistics, that could be coming via the APIs, that could be uploaded into the platform, and it just becomes a really central hub for that holistic assessment that your scouting groups are looking to do. Another field that we're exploring in terms of a visual is around that depth charting. We know there's a number of groups kind of invested in this type of approach and a really good visual for your coaching and your executives. So this is an example here by position where we can then break out highest to lowest, who's got the best scores, to really kind of investigate the depth of the squad or what you potentially lack in certain areas. So again, some really exciting developments around that scouting element. And then finally, just looking at, say, even internal scouts assessments, so looking at how they've scored on average in terms of that internal review and just seeing if there's any consistencies or inconsistencies across your scouting groups in terms of the assessments they make. So formulating questions, looking at different ways we can approach this field, and we're really excited to get some feedback from you as a whole to see how we can push this forward. Great. So essentially that is our short and sweet innovation session that we were looking to share. As we kind of alluded to at the start, this is the innovation we're seeing across the globe and is a really exciting, I guess, opportunity as part of our roles. So we're excited for the next 12 months and working with you, and do keep us honest and do push us forward in terms of what you want to see and what tools that you need to, I guess, develop. Like I said, we're very excited for the next 12 months and what we can bring. Thank you.